Muhammad Arshad from Decoding Data Science. Today we are going to talk about basic Python. Before we start doing Python for data science, we need to understand Python, how to start using basic functions and people who are programming first time. So what we will understand in this is the basic data types, and the first thing in any programming language, it comes variable. I will first walk you through the platform that I am using right now. It is called Google Colab. So this is very handy to do quick coding. You don't need to install anywhere and go to the pane to do setup for your machine and all those things. What you can do is you can quickly do it. So let me just walk you through how to do it. The link and it will be shared in the description where the files are. You need to open colab.research.google.com. You will get an open file. You will get this file from where the files have to be uploaded. So the best thing about this is the file is in GitHub, and the repository name, you just type the repository name Arshad831. After that, you will get a repository. After you enter this, like suppose I enter this, you will get this is the GitHub URL or the name of the company URL. This is my name. And then you will get the repository. So the repository for this is Python. And then you go to basic data types. You click basic data types and you will get the file. You just, after getting the file here, what you can do is, you can you can save a copy in your drive and then you can use it accordingly. So the first function that everyone does in Python is they print. This is a function. They open the double quote and then they put hello. And how to enter the code? You need to press Alt Enter. First time it is going to give you a warning tool just to run anyway. So this is this is one of the first codes that people run. So hello world. You can type anything within the double quotes, and suppose I'll put my name, hello Arshad. It is going to get here printed here. That is a wonderful thing about Python. So this is the, I'll walk you through the tool. Basically, this is the tab where you write the code, and you can, there are two options to increase this. There is a plus code option. So where you write the code, whatever code is there, and second option is text. Like you can put a text like comments. Like we can mention writing our first code, and then you just print here. So this will save as a text. So that is a good thing that you, because a notebook generally what happens here, guys, it is shared among users. So you need to document your code very well. So in my webinars and my talks, I always tell, what you do a project, you need to work on your notebook. It is not about the code that you write, but how well you document it and how well others can comprehend your code and understand what you are doing. So this is how this is the first line of code that generally all of you do. So I'm just putting it here. Let me just, once extension. Actually, there is one extension that is there. So I just want to remove that extension because that extension is causing some, you can say, distraction. So now this particular code is declaring a variable. Let me just refresh the screen. Okay. So now there are some things like you can define a variable. So x, anything that you put is equal to, like in this case, x is equal to 5. So we are declaring the variable. And again, we need to press Alt Enter to run the code. So now suppose we have declared x is equal to 5 and we want to print x is equal to 5. So if you put x also in the line, the value will come. But there is another option to print x and you will get that value. So two things you can do here. One thing is that you cannot put a number before, right? Like you cannot declare 1x, or you cannot declare 1x is equal to 5 or something. The Python will not take it. So one cannot come like that. And suppose you put another variable which you have not declared, like in this case x1 is not declared. So it will give an error that x1 is not defined. But see this is a name error. So that understand the types of error that are there. One error in the top is the syntax error, because in Python you cannot put a number before the variable name. And the second error is x1 is a valid name, but we have not defined the variable earlier. So it's giving you a name error. So these skills are things that you should actually know, because as you know, learning Python is a process. And when you do any codes, you will be getting errors for sure. And you should identify the type of errors. And that is going to help you debug the code in a very better manner. I always tell my students to learn the process. Don't learn the theoretical part, but learn while you're going through my courses, learn the process of how I am trying to solve a case. Because these skills that I am teaching has to be practiced, and it is an ever-growing process. If you don't do Python coding for a year, you will forget many of the concepts. So keep practicing, keep doing, and understand the process. These basic process should be there in your mind, and you can always know what you have to search in Google if you're getting an error. So now numbers is very easy. You have to just put is equal to, but for text you need to put it in a single quote, right? And then you can see the type. So what is the type name? As you know, when you're doing name is equal to in quotes Arshad, Python language is saving it as a string. And in the memory, it is basically every character that is there, it is saving it in the memory and as a string. So these are the things that are we should understand when we are doing a variable declaration. Suppose I remove the single quotes, it's going to give me an error because it is not defined properly. So these are the things that we should know. Now, as I told you that type, the type of variable description is string, right? And the one that we did earlier, x, it is an integer. Now there is one more thing. As you know, float is basically anything with a decimal, like 1.5 is a float, right? 1.5 is a float. This is also a float. Anything after the decimal number is a float. Anything with a decimal is called as float. 2g is basically it's a complex number with a formula. And if you can also do multiplication of complex formulas like 1j into 1j, you will get some equation that is there. One more thing is that you can also add two strings. These are the strings. The good thing about strings, like in this case, I'm adding string 1 plus string 2. So it is going to get everything inside string 1 and string 2. Suppose in this case, you want to put your first name, like my first name is Arshad. I give it a space and then Ahmad. So Arshad Ahmad is coming. Similarly, we can do it for, so here basically 11 is stored as a string. So we can add similar types of types like here strings, but suppose we try to add a string that is 1 with an integer 1, it is going to give you an error because here it is trying to concatenate, right? And it is giving you an error here that you cannot concatenate because it is not a string, it is an integer. So try to read the errors. Python error is also very intuitive. It is going to give you the direction towards the correct code. Booleans are basically true and false. So true is there, false is there. You can, true is equal to true. Now suppose, what is the good thing about Boolean? Suppose you are doing an checking of a particular condition, right? That is very important. So Boolean is used when you're checking conditions and giving output according to the condition. So suppose 1 is equal to 1, it will give you an output of true, right? Because it is true. And 1 is equal to 2 is false, so it is going to give you an output as false.